If you're still contemplating what your color season is, the hint might actually be right here, inside your makeup pouch. So I got my color season analyzed recently, and based on that, last week I went through a closet declutter, and this week I thought I'd go through a makeup declutter. And while I was going through my makeup products, I realized that there were actually so many hints about my color season hidden inside of my makeup box. They say that hindsight is 20/20, and this was the moment that made me realize how true this statement can be. So today I thought it'd be fun to talk about how to use the items in your makeup pouch as a hint in figuring out your color season. If you're new here, I started a series of videos a few weeks ago about getting my colors and body type analyzed, and for my color season, I was assessed as a deep autumn twice. And during my first color analysis session, they did a little makeup pouch check to see if the products that I'm using are aligned with my color season. And at this time I was traveling, so my makeup pouch only had a smaller collection of my most used and favorite items. And I actually think this is a really good place to start if you want to look for clues to your color season, because these are your favorite items for a reason. So I'll share some of my go-to items with you that happen to be dead giveaways about my color season. The first is this eyeshadow stick. So the color is called Sun Baked, and I not only use this as an eyeshadow, but I use it in lieu of a cream contour. So I'll use it on my cheekbones, for my lip contour, around my nose, everything. And I don't know if you can see the color like that here. Maybe I'll show it on the back of my hand. Like, that's sort of the color that we're looking at. Let me cover my face. Yeah, so that's kind of like the color we're looking at. It's a very warm, coppery sort of brown. I'll show you the eyeshadow color that I used to use before this product as well. It looks like this really warm, almost orangey sort of brown color. It's a very warm color. Even with this eyeshadow palette, you'll be able to see how I really only dipped into the really warm colors like the gold and a bit of the pink here, but I haven't touched any of these like cooler purples. And even this taupe, which is a very neutral color, you can see I've barely touched it. So I definitely use a lot more of the warmer colors in my makeup, but here I was thinking that I might be in a cool season. I'll show you my go-to blush color as well. This color is called Spicy, and as you can see, it's sort of like this really warm brick red color. And I looked up the description for this color on the Sephora website, and they describe it as a warm terracotta, which to me screams autumn now that I think about it in hindsight, but I've never really thought about it that way before. So I think looking up the description of the color names is actually a great hint you can get, because the color names themselves aren't always that obvious, but how the colors are described could be an indicator of your potential color season. I've also got this lipstick from Almay that is another go-to item of mine. And with this one, the color name is called Get Crazy, so you can't really tell what the color looks like just by the name of it. And I couldn't really find the description of it online either, so I'll show you what the color looks like. And it's this sort of cool purplish deep red. And I actually think this would be a great deep winter color. And I do use it quite often, but I realized that I only use this item with a very warm base underneath it. And the warm base that I often use is this NARS product. It's called Whiplash, the color. You can't really see it because I've used up almost all of it. So I'll pop a photo of the color up here for you. But on the Sephora website, they describe this color as a rusty nude. And again, the word rust just is such an obvious autumn color to me, but I've just never really thought to make that connection before to color seasons. So I think it's good not only to think about the colors that you often use, but also think about the habits of how you use these colors, because I clearly have cool colors in my makeup pouch, but I actually never use these cool colors alone. They're always used with a warmer color or just on top of a warm base or something like that. A similar example I have is with this new product that I got. It's called Lip Pression, and this was recommended to me during the second color analysis session, and I wore it in a video a few weeks ago and I got so many compliments from you guys. And this is another sort of really cool dark red, as you can see. So I think this is another great deep winter color. And I remember the analyst telling me that this is a deep enough color for all of the deep seasons, but since the color is on the cooler side, she told me to wear it on top of a warm color or wear like a warm gloss on top. And I've been doing exactly that, and it's quickly becoming one of my new favorite products. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, I definitely know I have more warm colors than cool colors in my makeup pouch or vice versa, but what about the subseasons? Like, how do I know if I'm a deep autumn and not a true autumn, for instance? And I think for this, you can think about how warm or how cool the colors that you often use or the colors that you don't use at all are. So for me, I've got this lipstick from MAC. It's called Chili, and it's kind of like this dark orange brick red color. And I don't really wear this color all that often because I find the color to be just too warm for me. And if I were a true autumn, then temperature of colors is the most important characteristic, so I should be able to wear such a high level of warmth in the lipstick color, but there's a reason why I don't, and I think that could have been an indicator that I am not a true autumn. Now, if you're trying to follow along and really fine-tune the sort of the temperature range that you're comfortable with, it's easier to find that out with lipstick than with skin products, because as you've seen, some of the products that I use do lean very, very warm. But these products you tend to apply on a larger surface area, and they turn out to be a lot less pigmented than lipsticks in general. So if you're really trying to fine tune that temperature range in terms of your comfort zone, it's way easier to do that with lipstick colors than with other products. In my past two videos, I've worn different lipstick shades, and one was deeper and cooler, and the other one was warmer and a bit lighter as well. And if I had to pick a favorite between the two, I definitely liked the deeper and more neutral shade better. So looking at your past photos with different lipstick shades to see which one you prefer could also be a helpful hint. Now, what about between deep versus soft? Like, how could I have known that I am a deep autumn and not a soft autumn by looking at the products that I own? Well, I think that being able to wear some of these deep winter colors could have been one hint, but also going back to talking about how I wear colors, and this might also have to do with preference as well, but I always like using a deeper color of a lipstick in the center of my lips. So I'll use a nudish color as a base and throw on a deeper shade on top. So the Ame lipstick that I showed you earlier, as well as this MAC Cockney, these are sort of my two go-to colors when it comes to those deeper shades. And also with the recent edition, I learned that adding more depth to my lips obviously gets me more compliments. So I guess that could be another indicator to see how other people react to the change in your makeup routine. I just think it's really interesting how these habits that I've kind of been doing without thinking much about it make more sense now that I'm trying to make the connection to my color season. And again, this is in hindsight, and these are things that I didn't really think about before. Another habit of mine that I've talked about in previous videos is that whenever I'm choosing a lipstick or a blush color, I like going for 1 or 2 shades darker than what I think I need. And I wondered if this could also relate to my color season. I mean, I've always thought that it was because my skin tone is a muted olive, so it's got this sort of muddy and low clarity appearance to it. And I've always made that connection to the softness of colors. But the more I talk to people, the more I'm confused about my skin tone, because Some people say that I'm olive, and some people say I'm not. So I just don't know anymore. But now that I'm trying to make that connection to my color season, I wondered if this habit of mine has more to do with depth of colors than softness. Now, you might also be wondering, okay, well, how do I know if what I'm using is a spring or an autumn color? And I think one indicator is the name of the colors or the description of the colors, like I said earlier, because spring colors often use words like coral, peach, tangerine. Anything with like a fruity name is often a spring color. And then with autumn colors, we've already talked about words like terracotta and rust being very obvious giveaways. I also find any names with the word beige in it is often an autumn color, like a beige brown. With summer colors, I see words like mauve or dusty rose a lot. And then with winter colors, anything berry related, like plums or cherry or blackberry, I find those to be winter colors a lot of the times. And again, this is not always, but you can sort of get an idea by looking at the name. You can also look at the items that you don't use to get some clues from them. So for example, I've got these two blush colors that I bought and I never really use them. And the first one is called the Mandarin Kiss. So this is obviously a spring color just by looking at the name and also by looking at, the color itself. And the other color is called Hot Flush. And by appearance, it's sort of got this golden pumpkin color to it. So you can't really tell if it's a spring or an autumn color just by looking at it. But it does look a little bit more like a carrot color when I apply it onto my skin. So in terms of brightness, I think it leans more spring than autumn, but regardless, this color is way too orange and warm for me. So one is too warm and one is too bright. To be clear though, I'm saying these things based on how these products show up on my skin. So I wouldn't be able to say the exact same thing for a different person without seeing how the product actually shows up on their skin. And that's even if they're in the same color season as me. So it's important to always try the colors on yourself, even if you see somebody with a similar skin tone wearing the same color and looks great on them. It might show up slightly different on your skin. So for me, just by looking at the products themselves and how they show up on my skin, neither of these are my best. I might be able to go with this one, maybe just like a sheer layer of it during the summertime. So these are some of the indicators that I've realized in hindsight while I was organizing my makeup products. I just thought it'd be more useful and interesting to share rather than just me talking about what I'm keeping and what I'm getting rid of. So I hope this video comes in handy for you in finding some clues about your color season if you still have doubts. I'll see you in my next video, and until then, stay unique and stay gorgeous.